Hi storage fans, I'm the PC Expert Amateur, and we're going to take a look at and this is a mouthful, so bear with me, Yinnceen USB 3.2 Gen 2 to M.2 PCIe NVMe and SATA NGFF, and that would be both the B and the M version, and keys, that is. Enclosure for 22110, 2280, 2260, 2242, and 2230 cards. It's an enclosure, and this is the review. That was a mouthful, and I'm almost sorry that I had to say it. So I did some testing using Crystal Disk Mark 8 and USB Tree View in order to verify whether or not this actually produces the speeds it's claiming, because it says USB 3.1, but it says 10 gigabits per second as well. I just wanted to make sure, because you can do 5 or 10 gigabits per second with USB 3.1 and 3.2 depending on the generation. So what we're looking for specifically would be generation 2. Generation 1 will be at 5 gigabits. So I'm going to show you the results I got, and I'm going to explain to you what each of these pictures means. Okay, first of all, this one is with NVMe. It doesn't really matter whether NVMe is on or off. This is if you have it set to USB 2.1. Yeah, that's really bad. I mean, these are horrible, horrible numbers. You might as well be using an old hard drive from the days of yore. So let's go to the next one. Now, this is USB-C, but generation 1. So the scores are much better by a factor of 10 on average, but still much slower. And I should probably explain that I was using the Western Digital Black SN750X, which is a pretty darn fast M.2 PCIe NVMe, PCIe Gen 4 NVMe card. So this is like something that should be over 7,000, not 400 something. So let's look at the next one. And this one is with USB-A. The other one was USB-C. This is USB-A Generation 2, but unfortunately the NVMe is off. So it's about the same. And here's USB-C 3.2, but Generation 1 without NVMe, I believe it was. And it's still about the same. And now we start to get to what are some exciting numbers. Now, I don't remember why it didn't finish all of the right tests on this one, but this was USB-C Generation 2x2 without NVMe. So the numbers are good, but they're off by a factor of about 7, or at that on the top line there. So not what we're really hoping for, but at least it's approaching numbers that aren't going to make us cry in frustration. And here we can see USB-C Generation 2x2 with NVMe active. And finally, we're starting to see some numbers that make sense. That first one makes a lot of sense. The second one, not so much. The third and fourth one, for reads. And the writes, they're okay, but could be better. So the point here is M.2 cards and SATA cards function best in their native enclosure, not in a USB enclosure. You're always going to lose speed when you're using USB. Even if it's 10 gigabits per second, you're not going to reach that actual number. So let me just now turn that off and show you the card that I was using. I don't remember if I said 750 or 850, but this is the Western Digital Black SN850X NVMe SSD. And that's the box. This is a 1 terabyte. The larger it is, the better the numbers get. So up to 7,300 megabits per second. for reading. And you can see that there, up to 800,000 IOPS. So if you want those numbers, and keeping in mind that sequential, which is what you saw on that the left-hand column there, first one and second one, those are sequential reads. Sequential reads are always going to be the fastest because there's no seeking. You just go from the one point to the next point to the next point to the next point. So it's just reading in order, just like reading a book. Now the other two at the bottom of that picture, where it says R&D 4K, that's random access. So it's kind of like jumping around on a hopscotch thing, or jumping around on a checkerboard or a chessboard or something like that. You're moving all over the place looking for the data, and that eats up a lot of time and energy. So sequential is always the best. Unfortunately, in the computer world, it often doesn't happen that way unless you're like using a tape drive, where it's always going to be sequential. Well, almost always. So in the end, if you want to use this product, which, by the way, I can show you, this is what it looks like. It even includes a USB-C to A adapter. If you want to use this, I would use it if it's just a last resort. If you can plug the card into your motherboard or into a PCIe card, that's going to be so much better than anything this device can do. However, if you just need to pull some data off of here, like you're going to copy the entire drive, it's pretty close to the actual speed you're going to do, because it's going to do a sequential read of the whole drive. Or if the data is stored on your M.2 card or your SATA card in a sequential fashion, it's still going to be very, very fast. However, you must have one of two things. Either you must be using USB-C 3.1 or 3.2 Generation 2, or, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is junk. Cut it off and save it for 2.1, because this is actually 2.1. USB 2.1 speeds, which is like 480 megabits per second. Yeah, not gigabits, megabits. That's a huge difference. And it's painfully different. So take this thing off, throw it away, use it for your USB-C that runs at 2.1. Probably you don't have one of those, or maybe you do, I don't know. And buy yourself an actual adapter that will maintain the speed USB-C 3.1 or 2, Generation 2, Generation 2 by 2, with this on there. Because otherwise, it's garbage. So this is okay. This is a piece of garbage. There you go. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.
I need to ask for your help. Things have been challenging. Whose life hasn't been challenging lately? So if you can please help me out by liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, and turning on notifications, that would be really, really super. Also, if you'd like to help me financially and you can't afford to, you can do a super thanks on my Glenn's Fast Reviews channel, or you can become a member there. Or if you prefer, you can go to patreon.com/GLENNMII and become a member there instead. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Bleeping Computer for their support of my channel. If you need resources for computers, for getting rid of malware and learning about cybersecurity and stuff, Bleeping Computer, BLEEPING computer.com is a great resource. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.